Welcome to the Young Comedian Special, where I, as not a young comedian, will talk to two young comedians about being young comedians, and they're very funny and very interesting people. Andrew Rivers and Kalea McNeill. Enjoy. So let's just, before we start, I do want to just reiterate, because I did just say this before we started, that as I look at the two of you right now, and I think you might have said it first, for buddy cop movie.
Okay, yeah.
All right. You are a professional officer that has been forced into the situation of taking on a partner who is a well-connected,
loser.
Stoner. Loser or stoner.
I like you try to clean it up the second time.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't. I think loser is fine. But I realized when I said loser that it might have sounded that I thought you were a loser. And that is not what I'm thinking. And also, I may have implied, Kalea, that you were a professional. And I wasn't.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
So I don't want to start stereotyping you guys right from the get-go. The reason why I asked you both here together is this. You're both young comics. You're both comers, in my opinion. You're both at the beginning of what I predict is big careers. You're both very similar, not in the way that you do the stuff or even what you talk about, but I noticed with both of you, you're both anecdotal comedians, and I like that. You're both kind of old school, but you're young comedians. And so I wanted to talk to you and get the vibe and get the feeling and get to know what the young folks are talking about. But first...
Craig needs stand-up lessons,
Yeah,
actually.
I do need stand-up lessons.
He's like, the career has passed me by. I need help.
Like, we got you.
Hey,
We're gonna get you in a Supreme outfit, a
And we'll
Nike
be like,
tech suit.
yeah.
Do you think, is that a thing? Is there a look that you have to go for? Like in your special, right? You
Right.
look very cool.
I
Like
think that's part of me
suit
being
and-
old school, though.
Right.
If it's something like a special or something that's being filmed like that I deem serious, I'm going to put a little something on. I'm
Okay.
going to have some slacks on. I'm going to, put a suit on if I can. I just think that's classy. But I also understand, your style matches you sometimes. And
Right.
and when I love watching a laid back special and dude looks like he's chilling, but his jokes are also like,
You very
I
much
get
enjoy Andrew's work then,
Yeah.
because that's what he's wearing right now. I feel like I've seen you do stand-up.
It's just, I just
Yeah.
go on stage with what I wore that day. And
Yeah.
actually got a comment on like my Instagram the other day. It was like, comedians used to dress proper or whatever, I was like, oh.
That was me.
Oh,
I have
wow.
to-
Yeah, I didn't want to
Ghost
mention
page.
it.
Yeah,
But,
I was like, oh, come on, can't you wear a tie?
Yeah.
That's not funny. A real comedian wears a tie. Do you know that I remember, I used to get a lot when I was a young comic, when I swore, people would say, a real comedian doesn't have to swear. Did they still come after you for the swears?
My mom says
oh, yeah.
that.
Well, yeah, your mom does too.
My mom says that. She's like, it was nice, but Sinbad didn't curse. And I'm like, all right, shit's crazy now.
Yeah, no. Richard Pryor did, though. I mean, he did curse. And now, I cast no aspersions on Sinbad. He's a fine performer and a lovely man.
Absolutely.
But in the Hall of Fame of stand-ups, Richard Pryor, Sinbad.
Yeah.
I think even Sinbad would be like, I think Richard probably edges me out a little bit.
Yeah.
You cuss a little bit in your
Sometimes,
act.
I think they used to say that about political comedians too. And then it's like,
Right.
well, Carlin had a fine career,
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you don't need permission to make art. So it's like,
Right.
fuck those people, like this is what I'm doing and it should make me happy first. And then the world is big enough now for you to find your own audience.
1000%.
I think that's quite interesting, because you guys are coming of age and coming in, making your bones at a time when comedy is more. I'm not going to say it's under the microscope more, but it kind of is a little bit.
I think there's like a boom of it for
Right.
sure, but then more attention causes more scrutiny, causes.
Do you find that your audiences kind of find you? I mean, like, do you get a black gay audience? Do you get a stoner audience? No, I'm not
It's
even.
funny
I'm
that-
calling you a stoner. You kind of are a bit of a stoner.
That's what my jokes are.
It's funny that you say that. I've recently finally started noticing that very thing, because it was I've for a few years now kind of been on the road, and
Right.
you have great shows, you have shows that sell very well, but it's also like did this show sell really well because, it's a Friday night in Connecticut, or were they really coming to see, me specifically, or is this just what they wanted to do tonight?
And like Justin Timberlake was sold out.
Right. So we're here.
Whatever.
And, but no, recently, I had a show in January. I did a weekend at this comedy club in New Orleans called Comedy House NOLA. And I've been to New Orleans to do like debauchery, but I've never performed in New Orleans.
Right.
And so first time performing, I'm like, what's it going to be like? I'm doing my promos as much as I can, so on and so forth. And it hit me when I was on stage. Like, I'm looking at the crowd and I'm looking at people who look like me. And it was just one of those feelings, like I knew for a fact, like they, either saw my flyer or saw my clips or saw my ad or whatever. And we're like, we're comfortable going to see that, going to see her. And so from that point, I'm starting to pay attention and seeing a little bit more of that now. And it feels great.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it feel good, or does it, because like I'm an old white guy. I'm used to seeing audiences look like me. But it's, but I like to see people that don't look. In fact, I'm looking for people that don't look like me in my audience. I kind of like that. But I suppose the numbers are different percentage wise anyway, right?
It's kind of a little bit of both. It feels good, but at the same time, it's just me personally. It's like I grew up in Fairfield, California. I grew up right outside of Napa, about 25 minutes from San Francisco. So I grew up around everyone.
Right.
So when I, most of the shows I do are for everyone, if you get my drift.
Sure, of course.
But I guess you can say now, it's like I'm just starting to see an influx of...
And you are an anecdotal comic, so you're going to talk about your own life experience, just like you do, Andrew. It's like you talk about what's happened to you. It's why I'm interested in you both. You're not... You do jokes, but you're not joke merchants. You're not gag merchants, which I think right now, that's where the big money is. I got to tell you. I think right now is gag merchants. That's
switching it up.
Well,
that's it.
I don't know, though. I don't think you can. This is why you're both here. Right. I think you're both here because, like me, you really can't do anything else.
But it's a slow burn. I think it pays off.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
I think with the way you guys have to do it now is a lot of social media involved, right? And you have your own Instagrams and TikToks and all that stuff. And are you aware? Do you put together, I better do a minute on, is that too much on TikTok? I don't know, 45 seconds. I have to do a joke today. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's part of growing your brand and those things. I think of the clips as like almost like a quarter in a slot machine, where it's like if one of those things pops off and gets 20 million views, then your whole life could change.
Is that true? Does that really work like that?
I know two people personally that it's happened to. Two of the arguably the biggest names in comedy right now, Matt Rife and Morgan J.
Yeah.
Right.
Like literally. The Netflix festival 2 years ago, Matt and I did a show, could not fill the Bourbon Room. He just sold out the Hollywood Bowl.
That's amazing.
From a crowd work clip.
You're right.
Now he was extremely consistent.
And his handsome face and his beautiful pecs.
There's a lot of really cute guys, at a bar show right now.
That's true. I was one of them.
See, that's the thing. You guys I just found out as you got here, you actually did a show together, right?
That's right. Yeah. We did a show up in Everett,
Washington.
Classy.
Yeah.
It's called The Dope Show. So the premise is that comedians they do a set and then they take a smoke break and then they come back stoned, and it's hijinks but really it's like comedians performing like they normally do,
but just higher.
Because I was gonna say,
but the audience is in on the bit, so you have permission to get a little loose or go down a weird rabbit hole that doesn't always end well. Or
what I'm sensing is that the audience may also be high.
Yes.
Very much so.
Right. So it's basically a marijuana festival.
That's what it is.
Okay, that's fine.
The hard part is staying sober until the first set, I think.
I just always forget. I've done it a few times because I'll wake up, I'll smoke a joint, I'm like, oh shit. Okay.
I'm supposed to be sober later or present as sober,
It's funny, marijuana, which, you're both very comfortable with it. I was very uncomfortable with marijuana. It made me paranoid and sad.
We just got to get you the right strain.
No, everybody said that. That's what happened to me.
We got you.
No, that's what happened to me when I was talking to a gay friend about when I tried.
Yeah.
Like I tried being gay and I did a gay thing with me and another man, and we did a gay, and I said after it, when the penis comes to your face, I said, it's not for me.
Yeah.
That's what happened when I did a straight. I said, you know what? I don't like it.
Well, no, I get it. But so it's kind of the same. It's the penis comes at you. You're like, not for me, thank you. But
do they do that with Coke too, where it's like, I just don't really like it? No, you just got to try my Coke,
No, they don't. They don't want to give away Coke.
That's true.
But I remember, but I had a discussion with a friend of mine who was a gay man, and he said it was just the wrong penis. And I'm like, was it though? Because they're kind of, they vary a little bit, but not enough for me to go, And I think marijuana is the same. It varies a bit, but not enough.
Okay.
So, but when does it wear off, by the way? Am I not?
I mean, I hate to say I smoke often, so I'm.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not
She's
talking
never
about marijuana.
sober.
I'm good right now.
I'm not talking about marijuana. I'm talking about the gay. When does the gay wear off?
How long ago was that?
It was about 30 years ago.
30 years.
35.
Okay. When you go to the beach,
yes.
What do you wear?
A suit.
Long sleeve.
Shirt and
SPF
tie.
No Speedos?
Maybe if it's very hot, an open-toed espadrille. But that's it.
He opens a suntan bottle and a sweatshirt comes out.
That's it.
No, why would that have? Like if I were Speedos?
Speedos, it makes you European, which also is gay.
Right. I wouldn't wear Speedos though.
Okay, I think you're good.
Just because I'm uncomfortable in Speedos.
How handsome do you think The Rock is?
Oh, very handsome indeed. Very. Actually, when I think about it, maybe I would be willing to give it another try.
that might be the one. that might be the one.
I like that you have a gay checklist. You're
that,
showing three
then,
symptoms.
And then he'll be open to smoking again.
Yeah, I'm kind of, when I think about it, maybe it didn't wear off. He was on the old late night show, The Rock, and I was like, my God, you are beautiful.
Did you get to feel him up or anything?
No, I didn't feel him up. Come on, but he's The Rock. I was appreciative of the beauty of the human. He's gorgeous, man. He really is. No doubt about it. But he wasn't high. So you high right now then? Did you smoke this morning?
Actually, because this is our first meeting, and because I listened to your last episode where I heard you say you don't do drugs, I am not high.
Well, I don't want you to not do drugs because I don't do
worry.
drugs.
As soon as I leave here, I'm going to be high.
But also Andrew in no way observed that rule.
Well, this isn't a first impression.
Well, is that true? I mean, have you smoked today already?
No, I haven't smoked in a couple days. So I'm trying to do my...
I am so sorry.
Thank you.
I feel like...
How dare you judge and stereotype based on previous knowledge and conversation?
Based on everything you know.
Based on everything you know.
And the fact that we met at a weed show.
And then, you had your intern research me.
Wait a minute. You guys are turning it around on me. I don't quite know where I am now. Is that a drug that you're comfortable? I mean, clearly it's a drug you're comfortable performing with. But I used to drink, and that used to get in the way. I couldn't really do it.
It's kind of, for me at least, it's almost a little bit of the routine. It's part of my pre-show prep. I actually can't have a drink before I go on stage. I don't drink. I don't have a drink until I get off stage. And it's not like I'm, blowing blunts to the face. I take a couple of puffs of the joint and go up there.
Is there like a Chappelle-ish comic that smokes a joint during the set?
There should be.
There should be.
Yeah, I think Dave Chappelle might be one of those guys, actually. Does Dave...
he smokes a cigarette, I think.
Smokes a cigarette or vapes. Maybe he's got that kind of little
I've seen him vape.
Thing. Yeah. Can you vape marijuana? I'm sorry for it.
No, we can teach you, Papa.
Everything.
No,
everything, Papa.
No, I am Papa now. I can't be doing Papa. I am Papa. And like, Papa's got the drugs.
I didn't like the vape pen because it was too easy. I feel like there should be shame involved, and you shouldn't be able to puff a cloud of vapor and disappear like Batman and be there's no evidence.
You know what? Shame is a much underappreciated quality in society. There's not enough of it going around.
It's going away, and we need to bring a little back.
Everybody is too positive. I was raised.
Beat up those high schoolers.
I was raised with a certain amount of shame, and I feel like actually you two must have had it too.
Probably.
Yeah, because you don't become a stand-up unless you have some shame, some bad. And my wife says that all stand-ups have the same motto: cold with bad boundaries. Does that sound anywhere familiar? Maybe she's just saying it about my mom.
I think she's finding a way to talk about your mom without talking about your mom.
Look, she's not lying about my mom, but
I mean, my mom she's a lovely lady, but it was definitely a strict household. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah.
My mom was the enforcer. I mean, my dad was the creative.
Your dad was in show business.
Yeah, so her job was to make sure he sobered up eventually, Right. So she did all the business and he was like, I'm going to write wacky songs.
Right.
See, no, my mom was a correctional counselor.
Okay.
And my dad...
I'm friend of your mom, and I've never even met your mom.
And my dad, once he retired from paroles, became a preacher. So, I wish I had the showbiz dad. That would be cool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they both kind of, like, my dad was worked in the post office. I don't know why that I even ended up as a stand-up. It sounds fairly okay compared to the trauma of what you guys like. Show business or pastoring. Are you still religious?
It's there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to church every Sunday or anything like that, but I'm not also anti. You know, when I'm home for the holidays, when I'm home, I'm going to church on Sunday with the family, and you know.
Some of the preachers, Sam Kinison was a preacher back in the day. Yeah, Sam Kinison he was way back before he got into. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Because it's a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Sam was.
I'm not good at impressions.
He startled me.
Yeah. I don't know if that was an impression or you just remembered.
Oh yeah.
But he was a very aggressive is the wrong word, but very
like a fiery,
fiery stand-up.
Vivacious. That's a good.
Yes, and he was a preacher when he started. A lot of the style of preaching in churches can be.
Well, he wanted to tell more.
Yeah.
He wanted to tell more truth in stand-up, I think.
How dare you?
Come on, folks. I know a stand-up who just stopped to be a preacher.
Really? Who's that?
His name is Aaron Hall.
Yeah.
And he's moved to Florida, so I don't know if we'll ever hear from him again.
Well, he'll move to Florida, become a preacher. He'll make a lot more money than he would have made being a stand-up. Yeah. It's funny how because the tradition of where I'm from, preachers, you're not looking for a show in a Scottish Protestant church. It's like, you are bad. Jesus is coming to get you. Look out.
That's guilt driven.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah, a little. And we are the chosen ones. Yeah.
Well, a Black Baptist church, lots of singing, lots of clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little.
It's a 3-hour event. You gotta ration it, because usually at a black church they'll have 2 services a day. They'll have like an 8 o'clock and a 10:30 or an 11 o'clock. You want to go to that 8 o'clock because there has to be an end time.
Right. It's like the early show. They're going to finish it at some point.
Second service, the only time there is an end time is on Super Bowl Sunday.
Wow. See, that's a lot of church for me. I don't know if I could do that. Like I'm in and out in half an hour, if anything. I mean, these days not at all.
Yeah.
But when I can't do longer than that.
Your confession's got to take at least 3 hours.
We don't do confessions.
All the trouble you're getting into
nowadays. My confession is like, well, I took that parking spot. Probably shouldn't have taken it. Yeah. Well, you'll go to hell for an extra 500 years, and that'll be it. But what about the idea of ambition and rivalry? Because like when I was a young stand-up, things were quite aggressive between stand-ups. It was quite bitter and quite jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to lead the witness, but I kind of feel like your generation is a little more collegiate than
a little more collaborative, I think, because most of we don't need a network anymore, you know, so we're not fighting for 52 spots on The Tonight Show.
Right.
We're fighting for Instagram Reels or whatever. Yeah. So I would say more collaborative, yeah. But
I would say yes and no.
Yeah,
I think too, it depends on your scene.
Sure.
I'm based in LA. You have just a lot of nasty nice. So
that's LA though.
Yeah.
No one's fighting for the Tacoma spots. You know, there's plenty of open nights.
Like I'll go other places and I'm like, oh, this is pleasant. Everyone was quite pleasant tonight. Like It's not, it's just I wouldn't necessarily say rivalries, but you have people that get quite upset when like you don't have 1 million followers. Well, then how did you get Well, it's like, well, I'm like funny for real.
Right.
So because there's always like that. That's something that no matter how many gimmicks you have, no matter how many, whatever you have, like if you can't show up and show out, like if you don't have that 30, that 45, that 50, that hour for real, then you had a really great show that one time and then you're never going to get booked again. And what we're seeing is like funny is finally starting to come back because you have all these people who got really big on their podcast during the pandemic or, you know, they have this great following. And then obviously people are going to come out to see them because, oh my God, I love your TikTok. Oh my God, I love your podcast. And you realize, oh, they can't do stand up. And I'm not saying what they do is easy, or we'd all have millions of views.
Sure.
It's just if you're
different.
going to come into this lane, I'm going to need you to at least learn it and respect it, because the one thing that doesn't change is the audience. Whether you've been to a stand-up comedy show or not, if you're coming to see me do stand-up, you're expecting to laugh.
Yeah.
You're expecting it to be a stand-up show.
Yeah, that's the job.
You know, and it's like a comic like me, I always say I'm funny, I'm not famous yet. And so I'll get on the road, and I do have my clubs where I headline, but I've been asked to feature for someone who might be a really great TikToker, this or that. And I have on more than one occasion, you know, done my 20 minutes, and now I'm eating, and 15 minutes later, they're wrapping up. And I'm like, how did I do more? 15 minutes. And now you know, can you go back out there and, you know, okay, well, let's talk about how we're going to handle that with the pay.
Yeah,
but,
that's right.
You know, but that's happened a few
you want
times.
some more jokes? I'm going to need to see.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I
And
know
the business is all about filling the seats now. So
That's
it's
it.
like,
Sure.
as long as you can get people in, the club will just give you the money and go, we'll take the drink money, you know?
Yeah.
But I think there's also more awareness to the competitive nature of it. So, like, because there's way more comedy podcasts, there's way more people talking about it. So, you know, I think there is awareness of like comparison being the thief of joy. And
well, yeah, but it also it is a time when it feels like the world of comedy is policed a little more than for what you guys are allowed to, or the orthodoxy of what you're allowed to talk about and what you're not allowed to talk about. And in some regards, I think it's a great leap forward. In other ways, I think you might be handcuffing the wrong people here a little bit. I mean, you know, when humor is are under the same rules. I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but I think humor should be under a different set of rules. Am I wrong?
I think the intention of just telling a joke sort of should be a get out of jail free-ish, but it's hard to judge intention, and certainly that doesn't stop people from taking something and putting a different context on it. But at the end of the day, I think we're still the most free entertainment, you know. We don't have to go through a line of, my brother's in directing and he's trying to get a movie made, and he's you got to go through 18 different versions of scripts, and
horrendous.
And then you can put it out 2 years later and then people will hate it, you know. Whereas like I can think of a joke that day. I can think of a joke that day and then go test it and be like, well, here we go. You know, we find out immediately, and there's something appealing about that.
It's also, but you kind of have to look at who's laughing as well. I mean,
there's definitely people that like, sometimes if you do like a gay joke and then people come up to you, like when you made fun of the gay people, and you're like, I'm getting the wrong.
I mean, my general rule of thumb is this: you know, to your point, I don't feel like anyone should be stifled, and the way I choose, like, I'll talk about anything and everything.
Right.
But as long as I'm not, I know when I wrote this joke, when I came up with this bit, it was not written with malicious intent. And then for the most part, I'm talking about things that have happened to me, you know, and I tell them, I was like, if you're upset, how the hell do you think
no, you
I
can say fuck,
sound
it's all right.
when it actually happened? You know what I mean? Like, it's funny now that we've worked through it and but I think too, what the over policing now does is it creates a subset of comics that are like, let me say something so outlandish.
I agree.
That now I've pissed everybody off, and now I'm in this genre of comic, even though if they're not even really that person.
I agree.
Like, there's a lot of comics where I've seen their clips and I'm like, I don't ever want to run across this person.
Right.
Meet them, nicest person in the world. They have created this persona.
Also, it speaks to the idea of the illusion that they are comedians. They're not. If you're just saying a bunch of hateful shit that a bunch of other hateful people respond to, I don't feel like that is really working in the genre of comedy. I mean, there are great stand-up comedians. Like, I think Anthony Jeselnik is a great stand-up comedian who works with some stuff like, there's no way I could fucking say that or even agree with it. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say.
He's also going for shock value, and
he is, but he's very skillful and he's a good stand-up, as opposed to you get people who just say mean things, like and
shock jock.
It's not the same. And also I think, and I don't want to use Jeselnik as an example too much, but it is. I kind of get the feeling that there's a wink there that that. I know this is horrible. You know this is horrible. You know somewhere, even although I would never admit to this, I don't mean this.
It's the smile too.
Yeah.
I think, and he's a handsome fellow too, so
He
can get away with a little more there.
Well, and I think we're all in that. We're all very good-looking people, and that's what we're.
If that's what you want to believe, sure. It's your podcast. You're allowed to make the rules.
Does it matter?
No,
Does it matter?
no.
Good-looking? Does it matter?
We're not filming this, right?
I think stand-up is the one realm where you can be like funny-looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good-looking people doing it now.
Yeah. Well, that's because of TikTok.
It used to be like if you had one eye bigger than the other eye. And
it's like, well, you can't.
It's both. Yeah, you can't be in the middle. You know, you got to be either so attractive that people stop scrolling, or so ugly that people stop
like,
scrolling.
What's happening?
You know?
I completely agree with that.
Like,
I used to say that about weight with actors in Hollywood. You can't be in between. You're either fit or you're fat. Because if you're in between, it's like you're sloppy, and you need to either get yourself together or just
It sounds like a lot of work. What happens when you start out and you make a mistake? Like, to me, I think part of learning how to be a stand-up is you got to fail. You have to fail.
Yeah,
it's a thing that you're not going to learn how to do it. Look, I'm looking at you both. I know you both enough to know about your material that you both have fucking died up there at some point.
Absolutely.
You're both good enough.
I wish I hadn't posted that.
But here's the thing. That's what I was going to say. Everything you do, like I had to fight to get filmed when I was starting out. You guys are getting filmed on the way to the gig.
Yeah.
So everything is there forever, all the time.
The thirst for content in general is so strong that it's like you were saying, like every day part of your responsibility is like, do I have a clip to post? Do I have to thing to promote? Because you're always at a club and you got to be making a noise or whatever. So
part of the schedule. Like I have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Really?
What I'll sit. Usually I sit on Sundays and I take a few hours of my day, and whatever shows I haven't clipped up yet, I'll clip those up, and then I kind of have a process where I tease my followers a little bit through my stories. I'll post clips to my stories. Those clips that get the most reactions are the ones that end up actually getting posted to the page. And
it's a lot of work for you guys. I think it's harder. No, I think it's easier in one way and harder in another. I mean, it's because
there's more middle class, I think.
Yeah.
And whereas it used to be superstar or probably nothing.
Yeah.
And now there's like, you
can make 11.
Yeah. I feel like 100 seaters around town, and I call it like my Eagles cover band tour. And I'm just like, I go to like the B cities where I'm like, Craig Ferguson isn't coming, so I'm your best shot.
Oh, no, I'm there. I'm just there Wednesday.
Tacoma.
But it's the whole thing as well is that what I was surprised at, and this is actually something that I think Bette Midler said this, is that one of the most disheartening things about success is that not everyone is happy for you. Mm-hmm. And have you noticed, because you're both moving forward, you've got traction. I'm not gonna lie, I'm mercenary enough to know, these two have got a future, so I'll put them on the camera. I'm not without guile when it comes to this.
He's hip, he's cool.
He's happening. He's more hip replacement than hip. But it's kind of, it's an odd thing. Does it take that form? Have you become aware of it? Do you start to feel isolated from your peers if you do well? Like if you're filling 100-seaters, before you fill the 100-seater, the people who are still not filling the 100-seaters, do you pull apart? Do they get mad at you?
I mean,
do they put mean comments on your posts?
No, not that. Yeah.
I think it's like you're saying, it's sort of isolating in a way, because when you're coming up, you're with your peers every night at the open mic, and then when you start hitting the road, it's like, well, we can't both be features in Tulsa, so he's in Tallahassee, I'm in whatever, and so you lose that sort of community. But I think stand-ups in general have common, experience.
Right.
So no matter where you go in the world, you meet a stand-up,
find someone.
And you can become friends almost instantly because you have this shared experience of, oh, let me tell you about my hell gig, and let me tell you about this.
Right.
And
so there is that.
And then this, I think you be the change you want to see. Like I help out. I pay my openers well. I share the money information with them to let them know. I think that avoids resentment, is going like, here's what I made, here's what I spent, here's what I did.
You have got to cure yourself of that shit right away. That's a terrible idea.
I mean, to your point,
I tell them the code to my safe in the
all of it. I actually have his bank account number.
Wow.
Right now.
Wow.
He didn't give it to me, but I do have it. But no, I think, it can be isolating, period, just because you're on the road, you're in the hotel rooms.
That part of it.
But I think the more I travel, the more friends I make on the road, because we're all doing the same thing, in this kind of realm. Like, I'll probably see you again in a couple of months, and it'll be like we just saw each other yesterday. I think
with Instagram and stuff, you can
see each other all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I've talked to my.
You just like the story, and you go.
I remember my son saying this to me about a week ago. He's 23, and he said, "I'm meeting a friend of mine for the first time." I'm like, oh, yeah, because they're friends. And he said, actually, we're meeting for the first. Yeah, it's crazy.
But I will say this though, you do at least, because I'm hyper aware. I'm looking, I'm seeing, and you when certain things have happened, at least in my career in the past couple of years, because I feel like I'm in that weird realm where. In a few years, people are going to say it was an overnight success, even though it's year 12.
It's always an overnight success.
And I feel that happening now with some of the things I have going on. And I think the first time I realized that everyone's not happy for you, even though we were just hanging out and kicking it, was when I did JFL a few years ago.
Oh, yeah?
And I mean, I was over the moon. I was excited. And I just remember talking to people about it. And I just so happened I just glanced over at somebody, and the look on his face. And from that day, I mean, and we were very close. From that point forward, he would just kind of handle me with kid gloves. And I'm like, well, what did I do? That goes to the saying. They're like, if you're talking to your friends about what you're doing and it's perceived as bragging, you might need a new group. Because everyone I know is doing big things. So it's not like I'm bragging. I'm like, oh, well, how do I, he'll hook me up with 100 seaters.
And the one thing is not the one thing is not the thing that make you like the JFL. I mean,
hello,
it's not even there anymore. You know what I mean?
So like,
didn't they go bust or something?
They went bankrupt,
Oh, man.
You stole all their money from the
I don't want to talk about
it.
I want to tell you something. That this is like, I'm the old guy talking to you now. Here's the way out of this shit. Here's the absolute fucking currency of show business. This is the secret MacGuffin that will always keep you right. Money is not it. Success is not it. Artistic fulfillment is not it. You know how you survive in this fucking game? Flattery. Keep telling other people how fucking great they are all the fucking time.
Have I mentioned how beautiful you are today? Just so
the sock and shoe combo is something else. I really like it.
You guys are stand-ups. You took the cue right away.
The doctors.
I'm surprised you're not wearing sandals with those.
Well, see, no, you went back.
No,
you went back.
Can't help it. Just automatic.
That would have been gay.
You fell back. What, they would have been gay to wear sandals? I can't keep up. It used to be straight to wear sandals.
You got an earring in the wrong ear and you're fucked now.
You know what's funny? I put that, the other day, I was sitting in the house with my wife and kids and my...
we get it. You're actually straight.
No, I never said it was straight. I said I was sitting with my wife and kids.
A little curious.
I don't live with your fucking labels, man. Forget that. But I'm sitting with my current family.
Okay.
Right? And my youngest boy said, do you think because I used to have an earring in when I was a kid, and he said, do you think your ear would still take the earring? I went, I don't know. And my wife had an earring and she went, try this one. And I put it, and it went in straight away. And I went, I wonder if that's because the hole's still there or because I'm now so old and my ears are just spongy.
You can actually put an earring anywhere on you right now and it'll just be just
covered
fine.
in them. I could be like...
Don't go through TSA with this guy.
Right. I could be like covered in it. But that's what happens. You get spongy as you get older. What about the line? George Carlin said this, who I think we can agree Carlin was a good comic. I liked Carlin as a comedian. He said the job of a comedian is to find where the line is and cross it deliberately.
Yeah.
Do you think that still applies?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But to our point with that, are you, at least for me, I'm like, am I crossing this line intellectually? Because I'm not gonna say something just to say it, say something just for the shock value, which we've talked about. That there is now a subset of that because it gets people so riled up on no matter what side of the fence you're on. I definitely think you should cross the line. One of my favorite jokes from my special is a bit called The New Jim Crow, and it's a very fun joke to tell because I can see people not knowing where I'm about to go with this, being very uncomfortable. And then when that punch hits, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's still based in reality. So it's like, well, yeah, we do kind of need to get our shit together. But, yes, cross the line. That's what makes things funny.
Yeah, you make people think in a way they haven't thought before.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding. But and I wonder if that's part of the nature of the draw for stand-up, because it's not just about making people laugh. If it was just that, there's got to be more. It's not there's got to be more. There is more.
We say the things out loud that everybody's been through. And it's like you don't even realize that you knew that was a thing until you hear it and you're like, yeah, that's true. I go through that. I've been through that. I've done that.
What about the idea that it's not a linear progression with stand-ups? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. It's like if you look at, there's a stand-up called Dane Cook, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think Dane now is the best he's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not playing anything like the rooms he was playing 20 years ago.
Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Stuff,
I mean, because that was Dane. I think Dane might have been the first, even like MySpace or something that blew him up, and he was like, it was a super fashionable thing. Yeah, MySpace. Remember that? I know. That's right. That was when the internet was powered by steam.
Grandpa, tell me what MySpace was.
Well, what we used to do
we would have a top 8, and if you took somebody out, that was it.
That's it. There was like 5 people on the internet at the time. It was quiet but friendly.
Couldn't be on the phone at the same time because it cut you off.
My dad used to put his jacket on to answer the phone. That's how old I am.
Just like a phone on the wall.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't on the wall.
Sure.
Yeah, it was like one of those phones. The Three Stooges phones. It's a different time, and so it's different now. And what I think is the pressure on you guys is to succeed right now. And I kind of wonder, what's the end game? If you're a young comic right now, and you both are, what is there? Because it used to be like, if I get the gig on Carson, if I get called to the couch when I'm on the show with Johnny Carson, if I do the HBO special, if I do there was always
like we were talking about earlier, like there is no one thing anymore necessarily.
Yeah, right.
So it's got to come, like the joy has got to come from within, right? So like I just did a show for my dad in Vegas, and 20 minutes of it is about him. And then when I get home, my mom is like, that was my favorite show ever. I'm like, well, yeah, because I made fun of him for half the hour. But that gives me the joy of like, that's going to push me for a couple more days, until I need a new source of motivation or whatever. But you're not living for the late night. I mean, this podcast is my dream.
Like,
but
this is dope.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, for me, my perfect career would be if I'm not on stage, I'm on set. If I'm not on set, I'm on stage. Stand-up was never supposed to happen. I went to school for theater. I love acting. And it's crazy because all the roles I book are very serious. I don't book many comedic roles. So stand-up gives me this duality where I'm like kind of like able to unleash. So, but we had the pandemic, then you had the strike. So it's like now that things are kind of picking up steam again, it's like we're getting closer to having, more auditions, more bookings, and that's what I would love. I would love to
that's
do
what
that.
happened to me as well. I did stand up as a kind of way to get my union card.
Yeah.
That was the only reason I did it, is that
it's usually the other way around. People are like, you need something to support your stand-up habit a little bit.
No, I never had. To me, and in fact, late night was the pinnacle of this, because I used to talk about everyone that I met, or a lot of journalists or a lot of people that I met when I was doing late night. They'd be like, oh, it's the dream job, the late night show. And I'm like, is it? Because to me, it was like being a fucking realtor.
Yeah.
It was like, well, it was in town, and it's not a great job, but you get your photograph on bus stops, and and it's okay. But I never wanted to be it. And if you don't want to be it, and other people want it, they can get mad at you for that. It's like you're being disrespectful about it or something.
Ungrateful.
Yeah, and it's not that I was very grateful for it. It changed my life. It was fantastic, but it wasn't aspirational for me. I didn't want to be a stand-up comedian.
But I think that showed in your show,
yeah.
You're like, I don't care. I rip up the cue cards, throw it away. Put a talking robot over there. Who cares?
No, that robot was fucking choice, by the way. That was a good robot. I mean, the robot was emblematic of how badly I failed at late night, because I thought, I'm going to put this ironic robot voice in.
You were ahead of your time. You got replaced by AI before anybody else.
That's right.
Yes.
But the thing is, it wasn't AI. It was actually a very talented human being called Josh Robert Thompson who was doing the robot. It wasn't a robot at all.
Oh.
And then he got mad at me for a while because he's like, well, I should be famous for doing the robot. I was like, yeah, but it's the robot.
It's the
And
robot. Yeah.
And we figured it out. But it was...
Mr. Ed too. He was always going.
Yeah.
It's not the horse, it's me. you know?
Oh
Like,
my God. Am I Wilbur for
You
Mr.
are
Ed?
at this
That's what
point.
it is. Fuck you guys.
Well,
I can't believe
this
I
podcast
invited
is
you.
about joy. You're going to be really happy after this. We've opened this up.
You have. You know the thing about the podcast.
Send you
as
an
well.
invoice for the therapy.
Yeah, this is what this is. But you know what it is? It is in a way a kind of sorbet after late night doing this, because all I do here is talk to people I want to talk to. And if you do a show every night,
You're talking to people you don't want to talk to.
you're talking to people you don't want to talk to a lot.
Now it's work.
Yeah, and especially if that show is a hit, and especially if it's on broadcast TV, then you're going to be talking to a lot of people.
Yeah, they probably shuffle in. Here, we're promoting this
All the fucking
CBS,
time,
whatever.
yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like,
And you know, and sometimes you get surprised, and you think, I don't want to talk to that guy, and then like you're best friends forever, and then sometimes you think this is going to be great, and you're like,
No.
hey. It's why I would never allow anyone from The Sopranos on the show while it was running, because I was like, I love The Sopranos.
You don't want
Oh,
to
you
mess
didn't
up
want to
your
ruin the
own
illusion.
I don't want that in my head.
I get that.
Yeah, I don't
get
want
that.
it. I mean, you're going to do that now. You're running into people. You're in show business. You're running into
Yeah.
people that you admire, and it's not always fun.
No.
I think
No.
there's something enlightening almost where you're like, I get to see a human side of them. And
Yeah.
it's sort of less pressure on you to go like, some of my heroes are also fucked up people.
Yeah.
And they're just humans. I've had this experience with my parents too lately where they've stopped.
You saying your parents are fucked up?
Yeah. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
like stopped pretending that they have it
Right,
all
'cause you're
together.
an adult.
you know?
You're like, all right, well.
And so my mom and I were going for a walk, and she's a little lonely, but she met this random lady on the street walking her dog in the neighborhood, and she talked to her for 15 minutes, and then we walked away. I go, oh, you made a new friend. She goes, she's weird. I'm like, you just talked to her for 20 minutes. Like, you're weird.
too.
Yeah, we're all weird. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's the gift of stand-up though versus acting, is because with stand-up comedy, there's only one way to get out. You got to go to the clubs.
Yeah.
You got to get on stage. So we end up on stage with, famous comedians because it's 11 o'clock at the store and they're they need to get something out real quick.
Sure.
And so, you're in these situations where you do meet them, and to your point, it's like it humanizes them, it normalizes them, but it also, what I find is it makes it very interesting. Like when my friends ask me about, I don't get into conversations with what I call civilians about comedians.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, I don't like this guy, I'm not saying I don't think he's funny. I'm telling you, I think he's an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen him be an asshole. And I don't want to ruin that for you because you want to go see this movie, and I'll sit through it. But in my mind, I'm like, this guy cussed my friend out yesterday for stepping on the shoe. You know what I mean? Like there's something like that.
I get that. And I mean, that's kind of why I was so careful about it. I never had The Sopranos on, and I don't know if he would ever have done it, but I would never invite David Bowie on the show.
Mhm.
'Cause I love David Bowie, and I was like, if David Bowie turns out to be an asshole, what the fuck am I going to do?
Suck.
That's like 40 years worth of great music.
You're
that I'll
probably
be-
upset about the Diddy news too. Yeah. It
Well,
probably really hurt you to see one of your heroes taken down
he
like
was
that.
never on the show either. So, there is a weird thing though, and it is a thing that I think your generation is much more in trouble with than my generation was, is that you have to be a nice person, apparently.
Mhm.
Like,
Perceived.
you have to be like, you have to be kind of, people will say, have you met celebrity X? And then one of the first things they'll say is, are they nice?
Yeah.
Like, why does that fucking matter?
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, they're cool.
Yeah.
If that's my tell. If you know that I don't want to talk about this person,
Right.
they're cool, and let's just move
That's
it right along.
stand-up language. Like, oh, they're a great guy. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
not funny, but
Right.
you know,
How was my
whatever.
set? I mean, listen, you did what you needed to do.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
Oh,
it?
how do you feel about it? Yeah, that's if anybody asks you
How do you
you had a bad
feel
fucking
about it?
night. Did you feel it went well? Oh, Jesus.
Where do you think you lost him?
Do you know what? Do you know what I've been starting the act with recently, though? I don't think you can do it until you're old, but I've been starting it with, like I've been doing this for a long time. I've won some awards. I've made a little money. So if it sucks tonight, it's not me.
We were talking about that in Tacoma. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think that was like the first time.
Yeah. I started putting it
You
in.
were like, fuck these people. I'm right.
Fucking, like the mathematics is on my fucking side at this point. You know, it's
this
like,
is your
if
problem.
this sucks, you're 15 minutes into being an audience, you decide on me? Fuck you.
Yeah. They have 10,000 hours of being a critic of comedy. Yeah.
But it's kind of odd though for you guys, because people make up their minds about you in 45 seconds, 30 seconds. I mean, you can't
friend zone. I get it.
Yeah. No, well, just with the idea of doing stand up, you do one joke that they don't like.
That's it.
You're done.
With stand up, you're as good as whatever set you just finished.
But that's a set. I'm talking
about
in
the middle of a set. Do you like lose them? Yeah,
you can lose them, but the job is bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
You fuck up, you turn it around, but you can't, because so much of what you guys are doing now, I feel is the pressure is extreme. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, please.
I think that the pressure is on you to provide this free content on cell phones that it just doesn't fucking sit right with me somehow. But I don't know.
Well, you
the solution to it.
You have to be strategic with it, because my thing is I would hate for you to come to my show and you're like, I've seen all this on her Instagram.
Right.
I've seen all of these jokes on her Instagram. I've seen this all. So, you just have strategies, with how you post, what you post. Like, if I'm posting clips of jokes, it's usually something that's probably already been on my special.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done this. I mean, just because I've done it on my special doesn't mean I'm not going to do it at the room in Torrance. I'm going to do it in Torrance. I don't care. It's Torrance.
And the jokes can evolve too, for sure.
Always, yeah.
So
every time I do a special, before it comes out, you're still doing the material, and then a couple of weeks later,
tag, and
I'm like, I should have put that in there.
Reshoot.
I know. It's like, what the fuck? I didn't even finish that joke. I mean,
they say like great art is never finished; it is abandoned.
That's
right.
one
that I hold on to. Make me feel better at night.
Me.
Do you know who said that?
Actually,
Michelangelo.
Oh,
he was.
And you were
not
there.
funny. No, I was there. That was when my ears were still.
You were the ladder boy for the Sistine Chapel.
I know. I was the model.
You were the model.
Yeah, I was the model. Obviously it was a cold day, but other than that, I was.
Was that your gay experience where you're touching the finger?
The wrong one.
If touching a finger made you gay, I gayed a lot more than I thought. But I touched more than a finger.
Proud of you.
Oh, you know what?
Is that the first time you've mentioned that on this podcast?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Or even anywhere.
Today?
No. I did this thing. Because I used to do this thing when people, it was a couple of years back, I guess, wokeness or something. People would use the word gay as a kind of slur.
Yeah, when we were kids, like, oh, that's gay.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't
and it
like
had nothing to do with homosexuality.
Right. It was just like they were using it for lame or something. And I didn't like it. So I used to do this bit in the act about, I gayed. And I said, well, of course I did. I mean, how do you know you're going to like something until you try it? Like, I don't know if I like chicken fingers. Well, pop one in your mouth and see how you feel. And
needs a little sauce.
I know this. You'd be surprised how quickly that sauce arrives. But I digress.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. It's getting a bit penisy. I apologize.
It's okay.
It's all right.
That's why you're here to balance it out.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It got penisy. That's not the first time I've said that.
Penisy. I liked it. I like it.
Give it a try. That's what I say. Guys, you've been awesome. It's been lovely talking to you. I am encouraged for the state of young comedy in America.
It's us.
Yeah, it is. You're both really good stand-ups. You're great. You're going to get better, and you're great now. And I love that you're feeling it and doing it, and it's impressive. Well done.
Thank you.
Keep fucking going.
Thank you.
And lay off the drugs.
Nothing hard.
Yeah.
Lay off the penis.
Lay off. Well, that's going to be easier for both of you. Okay, that was fucking awesome. Are you guys happy?
Yeah.
Anything you want to move out? Anything you think? Fuck, I wish I had a little selfie here.
Oh no.
You want to get in there? Yeah.